The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And with that in mind, I want to talk today about hate and about what happens when you're hated on. And see, when that happens, you start looking inwards. When you have a success or an achievement, you start downplaying it. You don't want others to feel bad for your success. And you start internalizing the idea that being successful or achieving something or working towards something and obtaining it is something that's kind of negative because it has this sort of pushback. So that's one way in which feeling that you're being hated on is negative. You can go into other directions where hate is direct, it's extremely powerful, it's extremely impactful, and it affects your relationship with others, your social, let's say, well-being. There are changes in your brain, changes in your physiology, changes in your core, so to speak, from a lack of a better word, when this kind of reaction happens towards you. And I'm here to tell you that in 30 plus years, and I've had a lot of people, let's say, disliking me, which is normal. You don't have to like every person. I've had people also hating me, some with good reason, and because all people make mistakes, and some without a reason. And all those people that hated me without any reason, they were never above me in any kind of situation, in any kind of ranking, in any kind of from any kind of perspective. Okay, I have never had a person who has achieved more or it's more successful than me or has something that I want or that I'm looking up to that person who hated me. Maybe they disliked me, maybe they didn't want to interact with me, maybe they told me, hey, you know what, we don't want to associate with each other, or hey, I don't want to teach you, or hey, I don't want to work with you. And those are valid answers, right? I could do the same to people, you could do the same to people. But what I'm trying to tell you is that hate in its, let's say, deepest meaning or in its fullest meaning is not a function of somebody just not liking you. It's a function of somebody being frustrated and somebody being extremely, let's say, aggressive towards you, because hate is a form of aggression. And you will find out that that triggers certain reactions in you. Those are biological reactions. You can look at the neurobiology, you can look at the changes in your endocrine system when that happens, and you can look at the effect that it has on your environment, and all those things shape you and shape how you react to different stimuli, but also shape your well-being in general. So this isn't necessarily to say that you should ignore those feelings or that you should ignore those people, but you have three ways of dealing with things that let's say you dislike. And I'm telling you this because you will see what's the best method of dealing with people who hate you as well. So when you dislike something, when you strongly dislike it, it's normal. If it goes into the area of hatred, then you need to understand why it got there. Is it something that that person does that so deeply affects you in order for you to have those extremely strong feelings against that person? Most of the times you probably just use the word hate for strongly disliking something. But if you don't, if you really feel like you hate that person, then that shows, let's say, an area in which you're not necessarily congruent, or an area in which that person shows something about reality that you absolutely dislike. And okay, let's look at the political discourse, because many people would say, hey, I'm on the right, I hate the left. Hey, I'm on the left, I hate the right. This is a case where hatred comes from ideology. So this isn't a case of hate just because you're hating somebody. There is a strong reason behind it. And again, this applies to any sort of situations where you might think, hey, I absolutely hate, let's say, a rival football team. Man, I haven't done this in such a long time that I'm losing my, let's say, my words. But if you really hate a different football team, that's because in the past maybe they have won against you. Maybe you have had such strong feelings for such a long time that it became, let's say, encoded in your experience to absolutely dislike or to hate that thing. But at the end of it, this is just a simple us versus them. This is a simple um, neuronal pathway that your mind associated, and it was reinforced over and over, and you have basically in your circuitry something that says when a certain trigger about that theme is being shown to you, you are going to feel the hatred feelings. Okay, that's understandable. That's not harmful at all. That's something that's normal. Us versus them is at the core of things, of issues such as racism and such as, let's say, gender discrimination. Those are part of so many ways in which it may be tough to do the right thing, because our biology actually, within some milliseconds, for example, our brain can recognize, even if it's not conscious, our brain can recognize if a face that we are looking at has the same color as ours. It's the us versus them dichotomy is so deeply ingrained into our brain that the only way in which you can fight it is by activating your prefrontal cortex, which means by thinking about it, by rationalizing it, by being, from a lack of a better term, mindful about the situation. So the same thing maybe happens here, right? Maybe you see this video, maybe you don't like my face, maybe you think, hey, that's an ugly sweater. It's not a sweater, it's a hoodie, but anyway, maybe you think that. And the actions that you can make are, as I was saying, 3 actions, right? 1, you can realize, hey, I really don't care about that person. I mean, I dislike him, I really want to punch him, but you know what, it doesn't affect my life in any way, so I'm just gonna move on. That's one way of dealing with it. The second thing is to become nasty about it, to attack that person, to try to say, hey, only a blind person could dress in such an ugly hoodie, or I don't know, whatever you want to say, or your hair looks stupid, or the glasses, they're horrible, whatever, right? I've heard them all, by the way. The first time when I received some online hate was when I was 14, and it always struck me that I was this kid in a room living with his parents, trying to write something, and I would have these horrible comments from grown-ass men and women that were bashing on the things that I was creating. I was like a kid. I was reading books, I was trying to figure out writing, I was trying to see if that's something that was of interest to me. And yeah, I absolutely received a lot of hate, and I remember how terrible that felt. I remember how I couldn't sleep, how I was angry, how I was so deeply affected by it. And now I think to my last video on TikTok, I received a comment which was kind of weird, which was a hateful comment, right? And cool, I'm just choosing to take it as it is. I'm just choosing to say, okay, that person needed to let their anger out, so I guess that worked out for them. I don't know, I have never, that's the thing, for me it's kind of foreign, because when you are hating on something and you allow yourself to express that hate and it has no foundation, doesn't everybody feel remorseful? I know the answer is no. People generally don't feel remorseful when they let's say show that they hate something. But yeah, anyway, so back to those ways of dealing with something that you hate. So you can choose to ignore it, you can choose to address it, to confront it, to be extremely let's say negative about it, or you can choose to internalize it and to don't speak about it, but to, let's say, ruin your day or to make you feel frustrated. And I think it's quite obvious to realize which of those ways it's the best. And this also helps you to deal when you are receiving hate, because it's the same strategy. Think about the way in which, or the desire that somebody has when they are hateful towards you. So if they try to express that hate, their desire is for you to have a strong reaction. Okay, it doesn't matter which reaction, but to have a strong reaction, fight, flight, whatever, one of those, right? The best thing that you can deal with, or that you can do in those situations, is to absolutely ignore it. What if somebody internalizes feeling of anger towards you? What's the best way to do it? Once, and again, this is from experience, once you figure out that somebody doesn't like your guts, you don't spend time with them. That's the moment when you say, hey, it has been a great friendship. I mean, you don't even have to say this to them. You can even say it to yourself, but you basically ghost them. You basically say, hey, it was good, but I really don't want to be friends anymore. Or you do the worst thing and you ghost them. Whatever works for you. You don't even have to give them an explanation. When somebody wants to harm you or wants to hurt you, this is a good time when you just take a step back. This is in a lot of teenager kind of friendships, and you will see this in a group of guys, and maybe there are, let's say, 4 guys, and one of them is being picked on more than the others when they wrestle, or when they play or whatever, because typically, as guys, you kind of you're a bit aggressive with each other, right? There are kind of games when you become aggressive to each other, and you will see that if the others in the group don't really play, but they start becoming violent towards one of the persons, that's one of the moments when hopefully that kid realizes, hey, those 3 friends that I have, they're not good friends of mine. They are being too rough. Because see, maybe there are, I don't even know how to say it in English, to be honest, but it's that kind of rough play, right? That kind of semi fighting, play fighting, if that makes sense. And if some people are too rough to you, it's not you imagining that, it's the actual truth. So yeah, for any people who are in that situation, for any teens that are in that situation, that's a bad group to be in, because those people, if they push too much, they start abusing. So that's a downward slope very fast. So whenever you feel that sort of hatred from somebody towards you, the best way to deal with that person is to disappear from their lives. That's it. It's as simple as that. You don't deal with people that hate you. Because again, when somebody hates you without reason, it's not an emotion that was processed through the prefrontal cortex. And actually, if you think of it, they had the time to do it, right? Because it's not the limbic system acting on some sort of split reaction. No, they had time to ponder on it. And even after all that pondering, they are choosing to show aggression and violence towards you. And what you need to do is to remove yourself from that situation as soon as possible. Okay, so those are ways in which you can deal with explicit and implicit aggression. The last way in which somebody could be hateful towards you is to simply ignore you, which again leads to you ignoring them, because you don't even realize that they dislike you or that they hate you. So the only way in which you can deal with it is to basically remove yourself from any person who doesn't appreciate what you're doing, or who finds that your achievements and the things that you have accomplished harms them in any kind of way. I don't know why would that be. If you have wronged somebody, and again, like I try to tell you this from the beginning because this is kind of obvious. If you have wronged somebody and if they have a reason to dislike you, of course you apologize, but not everything that you're doing should be or will be forgiven. So it's also good to apologize and leave, to say, hey, I fucked up that relationship, I messed it up, it's okay, I will do better next time with some other people, because there are lots of people on this planet, right? Again, in 30 plus years, even the people that I've wronged and wronged deeply, see, maybe once you apologize to them and you disappear from their lives, that's it, right? I don't think that anybody will ever come back into your life saying, hey, you did something horrible to me 10 years ago. Again, from my experience, this doesn't happen. They have empathy, they realize that you did some stupid stuff. Hopefully you had a chance to apologize to them, and even if you didn't, well, at least hopefully you internalized that and you didn't repeat those mistakes. But you see, people don't come out of the woodwork and hate on you. The people who do, the people who have those reactions towards you, there is something wrong with them. So it's nothing wrong with you. If you have done nothing to warrant the hate, there isn't anything wrong with you. Somebody can hate you for the way that you look, somebody can hate you for your weight, somebody can hate you for the way that you speak, somebody can hate you for any sort of non-apparent reason. That's not your problem. It's not for you to fix it. They are the ones that have a problem. It's for you to stay as far away as possible from that person. I recommend in those cases, honestly, I swear to God, just block that person. Remove them from your friends. I don't care. Just stay away from that person. You never have somebody in your life who hates you. That's a lesson that I've learned the hard way. But all the people that you have in your life must appreciate you. And you will find this out, again, when you are producing something, when you are creating something, when you are working towards a goal, or when you're achieving that goal, because that actually is what humans are driven to do, right? We set our goals and we set our targets through, again, our neuronal pathways, which again are different from each other in the way that we are shaped by nature and nurture, and then we pursue them. So if you achieve something and that achievement bothers somebody, you will find out that this is true. And yeah, don't see be happy for, I guess that's the point. Be happy for the things that you accomplish. Be happy when you are successful. Be happy when you achieve something. It's a natural way to reward yourself for the hard work that you've put in. Don't feel like you have to downplay it. Maybe you shouldn't share it with the wrong people, and that's it. Until next time, I hope you stay safe. I know there's a lot of animosity. I know there is a lot of, I see this, the reason why I'm doing this, because I've stopped producing content, I've stopped consuming content, and very rarely I see sometimes, stuff on social media. I get sent reels or whatever or whatnot, or I see them when I sometimes scroll, because all of us do, I guess. And man, I see people like really being extremely, let's say, hurtful towards others. And if people are doing something that harms others, I get it, right? But if people are doing something that literally doesn't affect somebody who's across the globe, it makes me wonder why this has become so normal, right? And the main reason behind it is because the person who is, let's say, who sees some sort of reel and they start hating on the people who posted it. Again, if the reel makes sense, it's according to the common values, it's a good thing. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody posts themselves building something, right? Do it yourself. Maybe they're building a table or whatever. There are gonna be people who are going to be extremely hateful on that. It makes no sense. It makes really no sense. So the best thing to do is just to ignore those things. And this is the discussion that I wish somebody had with me when I was 14, 15, trying to figure out my way in life. When I was a kid, trying to figure out how not to get trampled over, I guess. How to stand up for myself, but also to do it in a way that's assertive, not necessarily aggressive. So it's a learning experience. You will be fine, I guess. But I see all those kids on TikTok and whatever being hated on, and it bothers me because, man, those are kids. They're 17, 18, 20, whatever. They're young, they're doing some random stuff, they're not harming anybody, and people just want to hate on that. So I hope they're not internalizing it. That's the thing. I hope they're not getting that sort of message that they're doing something wrong, because they're not. And I guess maybe one of the reasons could be that people wish they had the courage to do what they do. People wish they could do something that those kids are doing. Maybe it's also the youth, right? Maybe some people are jealous of the youth. There are reasons. There are many reasons. I've already talked for a long time, and I still need to work. So yeah, just make sure you don't internalize the mindless and stupid hate that's out there, and that you're having good systems, good friends, good family, a therapist, somebody that you can talk to, that can sort out those problems, so that you will not internalize hate. Because if you do that, you will start hating on your own, because you will get frustrations, so on and so forth. It's a fucking chain, and it's never gonna get broken if you get there. So yeah, the only way to deal with hate is to ignore it, and to have enough voices around you that tell you that you're doing a good thing, or to have a strong enough voice, internal voice, that tells you that you're doing the right thing. That's it. Right? Fight the negative with the positive, and I sound like Pitbull, so it's time to end this. This is not what I typically do, but I feel like it was just needed. So until next time, we're gonna hear each other soon, I hope. I'm working on lots of stuff. I'm busy. I'm extremely busy. I'm working on the PhD. I'm working on research. I'm working on papers. I'm working on my job. Having multiple roles. So yeah, whenever I will get to post anything else, might be in 1 year, might be in 2 or in 3. But until then, don't let the haters bring you down, I guess. Bye.